intrinsic security comes from, it doesn't come from the script they have handed us. It doesn't come from our circumstances or our positions. It comes from within. It comes from accurate paradigms and correct principles deep in our own mind and heart. It comes from inside out congruence, from living a life of integrity in which our daily habits reflect our deepest values. I believe that a life of integrity is the most fundamental source of personal worth. I do not agree with the popular success literature that say that self-esteem is primarily a matter of mindset, of attitude, that you can physic yourself into peace of mind. Peace of mind comes when your life is in harmony with true principles and values and in no other way. There is also the intrinsic security that comes as a result of effective interdependent living. There is security is knowing that win-win solution do exist, that life is not always either or, that there are almost always mutually beneficially. Third alternative, there is a security in knowing that you can step out of your own frame of reference without giving it up, that you can really deeply understand another human being. There is security that comes when you authentically, creatively, and corporately interact with other people and really experience between interdependent habit. There is intrinsic security that comes from service, from helping other people in a meaningful way. One important source is your work when you see yourself in a contributive and creative mode, really making a difference. Another source is anonymous service. No one knows it, and no one necessarily ever will. And that's not the concern. The concern is blessing the living of other people. Influence, not recognition, becomes the motive. Viktor Frank focused on the need for meaning and purpose in our life, something that transcends our own lives and taps the best energies within us. The late Dr. Hans Selby, in his monumental research on stress, basically say that a long, healthy, and happy life is a result of making contribution, of having meaningful projects that are personally exciting and contribute to and bless the lives of others. His ethics was earned to neighbor's love. This is the true joy and love, that being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, that being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievous complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the world, whole community, and as long as I live it in my privilege to do for it whatever I can, I want to do truly use up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for in its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It's sort of a splendid torch which I've got to hold up for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generation. And Alden Turner has said, service is the rent we pay for the privileges of living on this earth, and there are so many ways to serve, whether or not we belongs to church or service organization or have a long that provides meaningful service opportunities. Not a day goes by that we can't at least serve one other human being by making deposit of unconditional love. Scripting others. Most people are a functions of the social mirror, scripted by the opinions, the perceptions, and the paradigms of the people around them. And as interdependent people, you and I come from a paradigm which includes the realization that we are a part of that social mirror. We can choose to reflect back to others a clear, undistorted vision of themselves. We can affirm their proactive nature and treat them as responsible people. We can help script them as principle centered, value based, independent, worthwhile individual, and with the abundance mentality, we realize that giving a positive reflection to others in no way diminish us. It increase us because it increase the opportunities for effective interaction with others, proactive people. At some time in your life, you probably had someone believe in you when you didn't believe in yourself. He or she scripted you. Did that make a difference in your life? What if you were a positive scripters and affirmers of other people when they are being directed by the social mirror to take the lower path? You inspire them towards a higher path because you believe in them. You listen to them and empathize with them. You don't absolve them of responsibility. You encourage them to be proactive. Later, when she begins to revert to her old paradigms, he calls her to his deathbed and sings that beautifully song, The Impossible Dream. Look her in the eyes and whispers, Never forget you are Dulcinea. One of the classic stories in the field of self-fulfilling prophecies, is of a computer in England that was accidentally programmed incorrectly. In academic terms, is labor a class of bright kids, dumbs, and a class of supposedly dumb kids, bright. And that computer report was the primary criterion that created the teachers' paradigms about their students at the beginning of the year. When the administration finally discovered the mistake 5.5 months later, they decided to test the kids again without telling anyone what had happened, and the results were amazing. The bright kid had gone down significantly in IQ test points. They had been seen and treated as mentally limited, uncooperative, and difficult to teach. The teacher's paradigms had become a self fulfilling prophecy. But the scores in the supposedly dumb group had gone up. The teachers had treated them as though they were bright, and their energy, their hope, their optimism, their excitement had reflected high individual expectations and worth for those kids. These teachers were asked that it was like during the first few weeks of the term. For some reason, our methods weren't working, they replied, so we had to change our methods. The information showed that the kids were bright. If things weren't working, well, they figured it had to be the teaching method, so they work on method. They were proactive. They work in their circles of influence. Apparent learner disability was nothing more or less than teacher inflexibility. What do we reflect to others about themselves, and how much does that reflection influence their life? We have so much we can invest in the emotional bank account of other people. The more we can see people in terms of their unseen potential, the more we can use our imagination rather than our memory. With our spouse, our children, our co-workers, our employees, we can refuse to label them. We can see them a new fresh ways each time we are with them. We can help them because independent, fulfilled people capable of deeply satisfying, enriching, and productive relationship with others. Good thought: treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he can and should be, and he will become as he can and should be. Balance in renewal. The self renewal process must include balance in renewal in all four dimensions of our nature: the physical, the spiritual, the mental, the social, emotional. Auto renewal in each dimension is important. It only becomes optimally effective as we deal with all four dimensions in a wise and balanced way. To neglect any one area negatively impact the rest.